good afternoon everyone. Hope you had a good meal. The next session is about workforce transformation, how to effectively lead change management. We have on stage Thomas Blood, who's AWS Enterprise Evangelist for AWS, and then Bert, Weyne, he's a manager at AWV. Please welcome them on stage.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming. I know it's right after lunch, so that's always a little tricky, but I really appreciate you coming anyway. I'm an enterprise strategist, evangelist for AWS. I've been with AWS for 18 months. And before that, I took a enterprise company business unit into the cloud, 2015, 2016. So I have some experience, I have some scars, and I want to share with you some of the stories of that. Give you a framework and some ideas around change management as we think about it. And then I'm going to pass it on to Bert, who's going to talk about his experience in transforming a government organization in Belgium. So with that, let me dive right in. So when we talk about transformation and change and cloud adoption, we have something called the Cloud Adoption Framework. And in that framework, we talk about a variety of perspectives of how to think about adoption. There's technology, there's process, and a variety of others. And then there's people, right? And ultimately it's about people. We can't do this transformation without people. And you know, when you think about people and you think about, well, how are we organized? How do we structure ourselves? What kinds of processes do we have? What skills do those people have? And then how do we upskill? How do we train? How do we grow competencies? And then how do we manage all of this? So, and underlying all of this is culture. And culture is tricky, right? Because we all have artifacts of culture. We have mission statements, we have vision statements, we have standard operating procedures, we have documentation that codifies our culture. That's kind of the easy part. But it's like an iceberg, right? So the real part of the culture is underneath the water, and you can't really see it. It's all the assumptions, it's the shared beliefs, it's the history, right? Because people have had experiences, sometimes they were not pretty, and based on those experiences, they've adopted and modified their culture. And that is really hard to change, because that's really part of our DNA as people. And it's as this slide says, it's the software of the mind. I love that. It's how we operate, right? And that's the piece that can get can be problematic when you're doing a transformation. So we're seeing a variety of trends in cloud adoption and transformation, in digital transformation. I think that's kind of a funny term, right? Because we've been doing digital transformation for the last 40 years or so. At least I have. Anybody remember floppy disks? Yeah, that was digital transformation. So when you think about the trends, you know, so we see this move to learning organizations. How do we learn from our mistakes? It's funny, IT is kind of slow, right? We're learning things from the rest of industry after the fact. Learning organization concept has been around for 30 years. The Toyota method in Lean has been around for 50 years, and now we're finally waking up to it. So we have decentralized ownership, we have DevOps, and you know, Bert's going to talk about DevOps. It's a superpower, it's a secret sauce to getting things done. And you talk about reference architectures, talent, and automation. So these are all sort of things we're seeing in these discussions, and we're going to dive a little bit further into them. There's also different kinds of change. So when you think about different kinds of change, one would be improvement. I've been doing IT for 25 years or so. So things like adopting Jira or Confluence in an organization to have better tooling. That's an improvement. It really helps. It's very helpful to do things like that. Then when you do a transitional change, you want to learn new skills. Maybe there's a new technology coming out and you have to upskill. But the hard one, the really big one, is transformational change. And this is where it goes into the mindset and the culture again. And this piece, I took Experian Consumer Services into the cloud in 2015, 2016. The technology piece was fun, it was exciting, and it was really the easy part. It was this transformational piece that was really hard. I had executive buy-in, which is critical. I didn't have a change management strategy. I was kind of winging it, and I don't recommend you wing it. Just you really think through the plan beforehand, get help. You have to think about organizational design, because your architectures and your design have a close relationship. If you know about Conway's Law, you know what I'm talking about. And you need help with HR. So the first a group of experienced executives that I took to Seattle to an enterprise briefing center included the VP of HR. Mostly when you go to an EBC, it's technology, and all the technologists, the geeks, me, show up. But because you're talking about people and how people are changing, I recommend you include your HR as early as possible. So how do you influence cultural change, right? So you have to have a goal. What are the attitudes you're looking for? How do you want to change that mindset, that behavior? This is an area I didn't do so well, to communicate attitudes and behavior. I communicated it really well with my team and with my immediate surrounding, but I did not communicate well with the larger organization, right? With legal or compliance or procurement. And there are these ripple effects you have to consider and think through. You have to think about your reward system and your hiring processes. We wound up doing something like adding KPIs around training, so that we could codify and we could say, if we want people to advance in their skills, we're going to make a KPI and say after 2 years, you should have X number of certificates or proof of skill acquisition. You have to think about roles, titles. So I rebuilt our system. I built a microservices architecture. I decomposed our monolith. And in the process, I pretty much got rid of a large chunk, maybe the majority of our database requirements, and replaced them with NoSQL. So now I had a bunch of database administrators who came to me and said, hey, you're getting rid of my job. You're automating me out of existence, right? What is my role here in the future? So you have to anticipate and think through the impact on people's lives and their jobs and their profession and their career. So what I told in this example, just to close that example, what I told the DBAs, I said, look, you're experts in data, and that doesn't change. So instead of managing and maintaining and care and feeding of a database, think about the life cycle of data from ingest to analysis and become a data architect or a data lifecycle manager. There are ways you can evolve your careers into the cloud without having to abandon what you've done in the past. You have to think about your operating model, right? So you could have an operating model where you're building your applications in-house and then having them outsourced with a managed service provider and letting them operate and run. Or, which is where I went, you could have one team build the platform and the automation and the infrastructure, and then have the rest of the organization leverage DevOps as much as possible. So there's many operating models. You should understand what your operating model is today. You may not know because it's maybe opaque. So it's good to think about what it is and what you would like it to be. A cloud center of excellence. This is something that we highly encourage everyone to establish on this journey to the cloud. You need a tiger team, and that's usually how it starts. It's a small team that's building platform automation. This, by the way, is not an org chart. This is a functional overview of the things you have to think about. So you have one group that does technology, right, the engineering side, security, and then you have another side that's more business focused, that deals with change management, with training, with policies, right, defining what your cloud policies are, and being the interface between business and IT. So when you think about this whole process, you have to be deliberate about this change process. Like I said, I was winging it, and I did really well in some areas and horribly in other areas. So if you can, I would recommend finding a partner that does change management for a living and have them help you with this process. There are a couple of things to consider in change management. So I didn't do this exactly in sequence when I went through this. I started with creating the vision. I had a clear vision of what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a cloud-enabled, self-service, business-friendly, DevOps-centric world and leave behind the data center and the slow movement and the inflexibility and the brittleness of the architecture. So that was the vision. That was pretty clear. Then I put together a team. I recruited within our organization. I handpicked people, right? And I was, again, very deliberate about who I wanted on that initial team, because these people have to be somewhat fearless and maybe willing to buck the convention a little bit. So it takes a special person to be on that initial team, I think. Then I went around and I socialized this with our leaders. We had a policy and Experian that said in 2014, we will never go to the cloud because it's not safe, right? We will not put our data in the cloud. 2014. 2015, I write a proposal and I said, hey, let's go to the cloud. It'll be great. So it had a little delta there, a little gap that had to close. So I invited the CISO out to lunch, and I took him out to a pizza place, and I said, CISO, you have a policy that says you're never going to the cloud, and I have news for you, news flash, you're already in the cloud. Because, you know, the IT department, the department of no, that was me, right? Too dangerous, too expensive, too hard, whatever, lots of reasons not to do things. The department of no can't deliver the business needs, the requirements of business, so business is going off on their own, buying shadow IT. You know, and half of that shadow IT that they buy is already in the cloud, and you already lost that battle. So why don't we do it together? You, CISO, and us, and let's build an architecture from the ground up that is secure and enabled and allows compliance teams, for example, to have a really clear view of the security posture of the environment. So that sold him. He said, okay, we'll do it together. So it's that element of building out this alignment. Then we build it up. We build out the capacity, and this making it stick is a little tricky because when you start down this journey, when you start shaking the tree and kind of rattling the cage of the organization, the corporate antibodies will come out. There's a lot of fear. People don't want to change, right? They're comfortable with what they do. And when you're saying, hey, we have a different way, the natural reaction is to say, no, we already have a way, thank you very much, go away. So building in ways to celebrate success, to have small victories and celebrate them, and to highlight the people that have taken a risk and made it work is very, very important in order for this all to stick. So I have some more detail in these slides. I think these slides will be made available after the summit. So I'm not going to go through the details today because I really, really want to get to Bert and his story and see what he has to say about how he tackled all of this. So I'm going to go through this a little quickly. And I'm going to hand it off to Bert Weyne with his great story of AWV. I tried to say it in Belgian, French, and Belgian, and I can't. So, so with that, here you go.
Thank you, Thomas. So, hello everybody. I'm Bert Weyne of the Flemish Roads and Traffic Agency. Basically, what the agency does is building and maintaining roads in the Flemish part of Belgium. In the agency, my role is to keep all IT basically running in the agency. Not all IT, but mainly the IT supporting the administrative business processes in the agency. So ranging from business applications to mail, storage, all that kind of stuff. So back in 2015, we decided we would go cloud for running our business applications. This was just a decision that not an easy decision to take with management, but then we started working on it. And one of the things that I noticed most is that the hardest thing when going to cloud is the people and the processes. It's also there's an interesting Forbes article about it that's talking about the 13 biggest challenges when moving to cloud, and the second one is the people and processes. Then when it comes to cloud adoption, the biggest challenge is your process and your people, and not the technology. Technology is really easy. In my experience, technology is the easiest part. So I talk about my personal experience when shifting AWV to the cloud. Why did we shift to the cloud? Just to give a little bit of background. So our old troubles. I guess most of you will know them. The time to market for bringing business applications ready for the end user to use it was very slow. It was up to 2 months per release if things went well. It was very inflexible platform. If you had to extend it of infrastructure, it took a long time to get all the things ready for the application and the end users to use it. We had a lot of technical debt. We had a lot of unplanned work on everything. The customer experience was very low. They had to deal with a lot of issues that were fixed very late. So they really got like frustrated about the IT, and also collaboration, integrating with other business units was difficult. Was very hard to get things done. And mainly, the summarize is mainly it was high cost and very low productivity. Back when I joined the agency, we established some new principles about how we would go and run our IT. And the main principles are embrace cloud, standardize and automate. On standard, we more or less have a reference architecture and automate around that reference architecture. Go microservices in order to isolate all the important things in your business application, so that if one thing fails, not the whole business is dependent on the thing that failed. You aren't going to need it, just design less, just design just what's needed. Don't over-design, don't foresee too much thing that later you have to throw back or redesign, all that kind of stuff. Use the right tool for each requirement. Don't mess around with so technology. Just really go for the things that will solve the issues. Out of the box functionality whenever possible. Cultivate DevOps has been very crucial, and also introducing the culture for our development teams that they build it and they own it, so they are end-to-end responsible for the business applications at AWV. The big takeaway there is that they really become responsible, and they really hook into every aspect of their application and really build very qualitative, very stable applications. Because if not, if something fails, they have to work on it. So that's really good. It can be summarized and take more or less like a startup philosophy that we started to embrace. Like think big, start small, and go fast. The main things that I have been working on, especially early for changing to the cloud, has been just embracing cloud. And it's not all that easy just to embrace cloud. You can embrace cloud, but you have to get the management and everything okay with that. And then also to cultivate DevOps, which has, I think, for our agency, brings the biggest return on investment for going to cloud. So embracing cloud, in my case, especially in government, which is here at Public Sector Summit, it isn't all that easy, especially proposing change in government is not always very well welcomed. You stumble against a lot of walls if you want to propose change. But one thing that, for me, really, in my experience, worked a lot was using the burning platforms in the operations work and in the operations of the IT to leverage them in order to get attention and get management behind you. So basically, operations is just like, if IT runs well, if you're doing your job well, you're just like invisible. Just they don't even mention you're there. But all of a sudden, then something goes wrong, and a lot of people in the agency can't do their work. They're just like sitting there, and the work gets higher and higher, and they cannot finish it. So at those moments, from operations, you're really like in the spotlight, and it's really like embarrassing for operations. And most of the time, what you want to do then is really very fast fix the issue and just go back into your little room and just hope that nobody sees you again. And you get what helped me a lot was when I got those kinds of attention, and I really didn't do it on purpose, create attention, but when I got those moments of attention, really. Like explain my vision to management, explain how we could do things differently, how we would make sure that those things would never happen again, how we would address all that kind of issues that were occurring with the IT department at the agency. So this is one thing. Then when you start, adopting cloud, you basically go through four different stages. And the curious thing is here, for preparing this presentation, I got some material here from Thomas, and he just sent me like this 4-stage model. I never seen it before, but the crazy thing is that I just like saw it, and I said that this is like the last 4 years of my life at the agency. I remember back in 2013 or 2012, just like the exploration phase. I saw that how operations was running was not really good, was not really serving very well the end users. So I on my own started making proof of concept in a little AWS console on my own credit card. So and I made some quick wins at the agency. There was some questions from business. They wanted to have IT support for one or other thing in the business. And instead of designing something and then transferring it to the outsourcer to have it run, I just said, I'll build something with an S3 bucket, some Lambda scripting here and there, and I just, in a matter of several days, I just had like a solution for issues that were occurring in our business. So I got like support for business also. I got attention also in the IT department, because I'm for operations, but also like the project management office. They were like seeing, oh, this is really very flexible. It allows us to respond quickly to business questions. I remember we had a lot of scattered accounts everywhere with different things running in them and little structure. That was really like phase 1. And like if things evolved, I got into the second stage, which is like alignment. You create like a cloud strategy within the IT department about how we could use the cloud and what we would go in and do in the cloud. What would be the benefits from going to cloud? You establish a people model. You assess your applications, and you look at the applications, which application would benefit the most from moving to cloud, all that kind of stuff. And you also start with formalized agreements, like with the legal team about security and all that kind of stuff. Also procure, how are you going to buy your cloud? It's not always that easy in government. Okay, then when that is more or less over, you ultimately go into stage 3, which is like the implementation phase. That was 2015, 2016 for us. Major migrations of the first business applications to cloud. And when you have some of them there running, you automatically also go into cloud native applications, because you really take a grip on what clouds can enable you to do, and you really start taking the most out of cloud. You really build them cloud native, that kind of stuff. And you really get also your full business behind you, supporting your move to the cloud, because they see that now you have moved to the cloud, you have become a lot more automated. Issues bugs that they notice, or issues that they notice with the application, they notice them, they send them to the development team, and the development team is now possible to respond in days and put something in production which fixes the issue, where before they had to wait at least I guess like 2 weeks was like the minimum in order to get something fixed. And like really that the business appreciates that, and they become really very active, and they demand more, and they demand more applications go into the cloud. And then the stage 4 is like the stage where I'm at now right now, is the automation phase. We really now have like a cloud operating model in place. We know very well how to operate our cloud. We even have business continuity stuff in place. So if one region of AWS goes down, we have our procedures and stuff in place in order to keep on running. I don't think that a region will go down with AWS, but just in case, we just have everything in place in order to be very fast back in business. We also drive a lot of innovation from my team now, with all the tools and handles from AWS. we're able to respond very quick to those questions from the business. And cost optimization, we're also working on that. It's just a simple thing, like your development environment and your user acceptance environment is mostly just used in business hours. So from 7 at the evening until 7 in the morning, there's nobody using those applications and the infrastructure behind those applications. So we just shut them down, and in the weekend you shut them down and you make a 60% gain on those things. That's the model. And like in the model, all those things which were the hardest for me, or just the most, I don't say the difficult one, but the most important one to get really the best out of cloud would be for me the people model. All of the other things like quite automated, you just roll into them, but I think the crucial one is just the people that you choose to run your cloud. So I had a stumble with people. My thing is not that just like Thomas, he had an organization who he had to transform. There was already an IT department in place which he had to transform. For me, luckily for me, it was I could like start in a green field because everything was outsourced to an outsourcer, and we were just going to choose to source it in. So I had to build it myself, the operations for our cloud. But still, there I had issues with hiring the people. What was my issue is I was focusing on skills. I wanted people who with Unix with good Unix experience. I wanted people with good experience in certain middleware, all that kind of stuff. And really that was a mistake. What you have to focus on people that you're hiring to run your cloud is that they are they have like a development mindset, that they really are able to work with the tools and handles that AWS provides you in order to automate everything in operating your cloud. So basically now I have two guys in the team. They have ops experience, but they do also have development experience. They know about continuous integration, they know about Python and all that kind of stuff. They really are experienced and really easily can build automation with experience they have. And they do still our operations. They're very structured. They make sure that everything will keep running. They're not like the real developers that like really create very fast functionality. No, they're just making sure that everything will keep on running, but still have that development experience in order to take the best out of cloud. You want them also to be creative and explorative and inspired by cloud. That's a thing that I think is also very crucial. The guys I have, they really are inspired in cloud. They really love what cloud allows them to do. They're eager learners. I know they follow every webinar that AWS publishes. And also, basically, you want them lazy. You want them lazy, not just lazy that they don't like to work, but you want them lazy in the sense that they don't like repetitive work. They automate. If things occur 1 or 2, 3 times, they really get frustrated. How can we automate this? And that works very, 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 very well. No. Okay, the next thing, when you have good ops people in place, you have to mix them with development team. Why you want to do that? That's really like the secret weapon, just as Thomas told you, in order to serve your customers at best and in the most efficient way. And well, we're in government, we don't really have to compete like in private sector, but I can feel that with DevOps you're really able to compete, because I see within the agency there are different IT projects. There's like more IT projects for the administrative things, processes in the business that are going to us, and you have like more the IT processes for let's say, really bridges that have to open and close and all the kind of stuff, like really dedicated IT with PLCs. And we see that IT that was originally for them, that's like they come to us and they want to use our manner of operating, and they ask us, can you please run this, because we really have a hard time. So in fact we are competing. What DevOps does is really like deliver your applications at a very high velocity to the customers. How do you do that? Basically by good tooling, a lot of automation in place, end-to-end ownership of the development teams of the application that they are building, and continuous integration and delivery. So basically, it's a really an automated flow from where the developers they commit in Git, automatically build start, automatically test starts, automatically it gets deployed into the development environment, integration tests run on there, and if everything is green, then they have just like a button ready that they can push to in order to get the thing running in production. And a very important thing is that not just that pipeline is automated, but also they have like the feedback loop. Going back to the developers, the developers have insight in every aspect of the application. They have the monitoring of the application, the logs of the application. They all have it really like prepared for them. And if something happens with the application, they can really easily look into what's happening. For instance, every day when they come at the office, they look at the errors that occur in the application, and they work on them. They make issues in Jira and so on, back and forth. So that's really the DevOps thing. And the outcome of DevOps is a lot of automation, highway speed IT development. So really the development team can respond very fast to the issues that arise in their business. And because they respond so fast, really the user group behind those applications becomes very active, becomes very demanding, and they know that if they notice something or they want something new, then in a short time it will be there ready for them. And at the end, what you get is like very high quality, secure and robust IT. That's mainly because everything is so automated, everything is like under versioning control. If you can easily reproduce what's in production, and a very delighted user base. That's also the key takeaway from the key objective that you get from introducing DevOps in your environment. I've talked a lot about DevOps, about the tooling and all that kind of stuff in place. DevOps is just like the combination of the developers and the operating team. But you cannot just put them together. You have like you need to moderate those things, because they have the developers have a different vision about how things should run, and you have operations who want stability. They want to be sure that everything will keep on running in the future, and the developers they just want new functionality that they just coded and they want to run in production. So you bring those together, and really, it's remarkable how like together they bring ideas to automate in order to get the development things faster in production, but also the ideas from the operations, how to be sure that everything is reproducible, is secure, is reproducible for the long term. And my role mainly there is then moderate between them. Because sometimes they throw things at each other, but that's just like, just relax and look how we can together unite our forces in order to get the win-win situation for both of them. And that's really what happens at the end. So the key takeaways of
my experience going to cloud is that technology is a commodity. Really focus on your vision, focus on DevOps, and choose what fits best for you. If you're in government, then you have difficult to propose change to cloud. Really make use of your burning platforms, turn them into your allies. It did a great job for me. I got the attention, and I really was able to explain my vision. And I got the support. Don't hire so people, hire the best, hire really people that are inspired about cloud. Be fully committed to your customer. So I think first for the customer, what is it? Don't think about technology. Don't like this technology or that technology. Really think about how can I serve my customers at best. That's really very important to have a culture that really will support the customers at best. Make your development teams end-to-end responsible for the application, responsible and accountable with vision in every aspect of their applications. They will build quality. They will make their customers happy. Your operations team, you should turn it into like an infra development team. Just like I said, they should be focusing on. What did I say? I lost it. Quality and automation, yes, indeed. Go incremental and frequently go little step by step, but just add functionality to that, and then when you have that in place, you're really able to go fast or to respond fast to the business needs. That's mainly the things that I wanted to tell here for you, everybody. And back to.
So we have a few minutes left. We went a little quickly because we wanted to have an opportunity to have a dialogue with you. You know, we've done this, both of us. We've gone through this process. We have scars, we have stories, we have some solutions, we have ideas. So what we lack now are questions. So if you have any questions, please ask us, and we'd be delighted to share our experience with you. So who has a question? I know somebody out here has a question. No? Yes, thank you.
One of the things you told me, obviously people is a big part of moving to the cloud, but you also mentioned that you insource a lot of your work again. So does that mean that you didn't involve your outsourcing partners in moving to the cloud, or that you choose other outsourcing partners, or how did you deal with it?
So let me repeat that question, because not everybody may have heard it. So the question is, when you insource your work, did you then neglect the outsourcing partnership that you already had? So.
No, at first we really, with the outsourcer, we were really demanding them. We have issues with running our applications, and you know it. So can we sit together and kind of try to solve these applications, at least with virtualization in place, which would isolate the different applications and all that kind of stuff. We negotiated with the outsourcer, but at the end it wasn't very fructive. Nothing resulted out of it, and then you have to take a drastic decision, just like sorry, but you're really not responding to my questions. So we looked around, and we thought that the best way to answer the needs of our agency was then to start our own operations team.
If I might add to that, I would say, when you have an outsourcing relationship already, I would offload the legacy work and the things that are sort of low value and hand that off to the outsourcer, and then focus on the things that are business value driven or value for your customers, and focus your efforts there. Next question. No? I have a question for you.
Okay.
So let's say you're starting on your journey. This is your beginning, right? And you're just getting started with cloud. You have an idea of what you want to do. How do you start? What do you do?
What I would do, I would do just the same as I did. I would just start getting a grip on cloud, start playing a little bit with cloud, open an AWS account and see what I can do. Open also at least a Google Cloud Platform account, open an Azure account, see what those things are able to do, and really get a grip on on how flexible the cloud is, and if you really AWS is the market leader, and most of the time, I don't know for all, but for us, especially in back in 2014, 2015, like AWS was like the best fit for our needs. That's like the thing I would suggest to how to start with cloud.
So I would summarize that as just start.
Yeah.
because people get wrapped up in analysis paralysis. Right? I have a lot of customers that take a year and they just try to understand the landscape. A year. You could do things in that first year, right? So start, just start, be brave. How many of you speak of more languages than one? I suspect everyone, right? Okay. So when you learned your second language, did you ever embarrass yourself? Yeah? Okay, good. And the people around you that you felt embarrassed to, they cut you some slack, right? They said, hey, don't worry about it. You're trying. I really appreciate that you're trying to learn my language. You have to think about IT the same way. You have to try things. You're going to get it wrong sometimes. That's okay. You're going to learn in the process. Okay, what other questions do we have? I know we have more questions. Yes, back in the back corner. Okay, so let me repeat the question. The question is, now that we've done this for a while and looking sort of at the landscape in cloud, am I or are people still afraid around security? So my answer to that is, 3 years ago when I did this, security was absolutely kind of a new concept. People just didn't know about cloud security. But today, most of the customers I talk to feel very, very confident in the security that's available because we have so many proven use cases and so many examples. And we have this huge amount of certifications, you know, SOC 1, 2, 3. We have HIPAA certification in the US. There's a whole catalog of security operations. But the thing that I think is most remarkable about security is in the old day, I managed a data center for the US Navy at one time. And my systems were secure because I had a really amazing firewall. I had a great perimeter, right? But when you got into the perimeter, you were in my tech museum. So I had a bunch of really old equipment, and it's really hard to secure old things, right? So if you migrate things into the cloud, you get an immediate benefit of additional infrastructure security that you wouldn't otherwise have. And if you architect things cloud natively, you can build in security at every level. It really changes how people, the developers, think about security, and it changes the entire security posture. What would you add to that?
Basically runs it up, I guess. Not much to add to that. Yeah, we felt comfortable from the beginning, or at least I felt comfortable from the beginning. Management and so you really have to like show them that what cloud will deliver, that it will be secure. Mainly also the white papers that AWS have, they speak for themselves actually about how AWS makes sure that everything is secure. The investments that AWS does in making the cloud secure, that's something that we never could afford to do that.
Yes?
What's your biggest failure in your journey to cloud?
Well, that's kind of personal, but there were a couple, right? So one, there's a couple. I can't say which one was the biggest. They were all big. So one was, I had a rule in my mind that said, and Amazon has this rule as well, it's called a two-way door. When you make a decision, favor those decisions that you can back out of. You can go through the door, and if it was a mistake, you can come back through the door, right? And part of the two-way door idea is that you can do it very quickly. So I made a rule with my team. I said, if I make a change, I should be able to fix a problem within a sprint or two, maximum 2 sprints. And I allowed myself to be browbeat and bullied from one of our business partners to rip out a perfectly well-functioning solution and go with a different solution that they favored. And that solution turned out to be the wrong one, and it took me 3 months to fix it. I broke my own rule, so that's one. The second one is around change management and getting people engaged early on. I did a really good job with my team and with my immediate surroundings. I did not do a good job with the larger organization. And if I could go back in time, I would fix that, because people get hurt in the process, right? And nobody wants to do that. So that would be a personal feeling, if you will. And then the third thing, there's more, but we'll leave it at 3. The third one was I built in a data lake, right? Our business model was we had many applications. Each application had its own data store. And I had a really hard time synchronizing all the data stores and understanding our customers, because they could exist in multiple places, but they have different identity management processes. How do you manage that, right? It's really hard. So I flipped it and I said, okay, we're going to build everything around people and have a data store around individual customers, and all the applications live off of that core identity of that person. So I built a data lake, and I built a really cool data lake. I was really proud of it.
Technology.
And I failed to communicate this in a way to the business that they could leverage the power that we gave them. Right? So our project was called Corvette, and we were driving it like a 1965 Volkswagen. So that was the third one. Do you have any failings that you want to share that are different?
Really hiring wrong people at the beginning. That really more or less have gotten like 3/4 of a year that we had to throw away because it wasn't going good. Another failure, maybe when you start in the exploration phase, you have like the scattered accounts, and then you migrate them to one production account, and maybe definitely leaving those scattered accounts too much time alive and not paying attention to them. You have like things already, it's still running there that actually should like migrate into your whole cloud workflow, but just this it was like a little thing for business that rendered, and there was not a lot of attention to it, but eventually it exploded in my hands a little bit.
All right, I have time for one more question, and then we have to wrap, so go ahead.
Yes, you just mentioned that you hired the wrong people, but since we all know that we'll be obsolete with IT specialists, and anyway it's not going to be some places to hire from, you're going to end up agreeing on training and education the people that you hired, wrong or good. Do you imagine that, like, if you didn't have the chance to hire someone else and to fire the people that you, how would you train them to do what you actually do now?
How would I train them? They should be. It's really attitude. That's a key thing there. I would maybe I would like just sit them next to the guys who I hire now. Just like he gets involved and he sees how things are running, how they manage the things. So he really gets inspired about what they are doing. I don't really think like sending them to a training. I believe that really hands-on when you're just okay, do it and with
So basically your communication, that's the thing you would increase more, the communication between you and the people. So you would inspire them doing what you have on your mind, or
If I may.
yeah.
So, yes. So there's definitely communication is key, right? It's a leadership question, absolutely. You were talking about pair programming, essentially getting people together so they learn from each other, right? There's that. I would make training available offline or online as widely as possible, and allow people to teach themselves as much as they can. I would host and encourage you to host meetups with the community to get the wider community involved, because when you teach others, you learn, right? So there's a whole host of things you can do around the training piece. Definitely on-the-job training, definitely just-in-time training, so taking a class and then applying it a year later is too late. You want to stay within roughly when you need it. We have a variety of training programs available, so if you're interested, we can talk to you at the... No, I'm just saying, because... Yeah. So we have a lot of training programs available to help with this process, because it is a process. And I would finally, the last point I'll make on this is, hiring is really hard, and to your point, it's really about training the people we already have. We hired them in the past because they were smart. They're problem solvers, they know how to solve problems and architect things. Let's leverage the domain expertise that they already have and give them a new tool set. So with that, I would ask you that you fill out the survey And I thank you very, very much for a great session. And Bert, thank you so much.
Thank you.